people often refer to CPD or RE-CPD, but what does it actually stand for and what does it mean for Royal Engineer personnel?
Yeah, so if we take the first part, CPD is, in our language, continuous personal development. The Royal Engineers are amazing in terms of their professional development. You know, their trade training is second to none. And what we do is we bring on that additional layer of personal development so that we can take people that one step further, you know, in their careers to prepare them not only for service, but also for their life out of service as well. The RE-CPD is a shortened version of our full name, which is the Royal Engineers Continuous Personal Development Charity. Bit of a mouthful. So you'll probably see it oft times referred to as RE-CPD. What does it mean for the Royal Engineers? Well, it means that we allow them, A, to get civilian recognition for the trade training that they get as a matter of course in the Royal Engineers, but it also means that we give them the opportunity, and I think we'll explore that a little bit later, to have additional personal development and to kind of look at themselves and say, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? How can I get there?
Okay, so looking into question 2, for anyone listening who may not have heard of the Royal Engineers CPD charity before, can you explain in simple terms what it is and why it exists?
So the Royal Engineers Continuous Personal Development Charity exists for the very purpose that we state. So it's to personally develop our Royal Engineers and to layer on additional support, training, you know, and guidance to them in their careers and continuing out of their careers. We exist primarily here at Chatham with the Chatham-based trades to overlay civilian qualifications onto the trade training that they already get. So it allows them then to use that civilian accreditation when they leave, you know, their military service, and they've got something that translates very easily into the civilian world past, you know, the Royal Engineers world here that they live, you know, while they're doing their service with us.
No, that's spot on. It's really important, especially as a serving soldier, to understand that I've got an organisation that I can lean on if I do want to professionalise my experience in the Royal Engineers and take it outside of the Army, because we all end up leaving at some point, so that's really important. Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I'm particularly proud of is not only do we do that, but we then offer any Royal Engineer, any Queen's Gurkha engineer and the reserve community as well, the opportunity to look at what they want to do to develop themselves. So on top of their trade training, you know, there's other forms of support that we offer that will allow them to look into, you know, their personal development in terms of what they want to do in their careers or their private life, and how they might be able to prepare themselves, you know, both in service and out of service for their life beyond the Royal Engineers.
We're discussing the Royal Engineers CPD rebrand and what it actually stands for and what it is, and especially as somebody that's used Royal Engineers CPD before, I found a bit of disparity and confusion with RE-CPD and what is it, RE-VETT, so the Royal Engineers Vocational Education Training Trust. So again, a bit of a mouthful for you. Yeah. Some soldiers get confused, and when they're applying for support through the charity, they don't realise that they're actually getting funding through RE-CPD or through REVIT. Are you able to dispel some of the rumours and give a little bit more clarity on what REVIT is and how it directly affects Royal Engineers CPD?
So REVIT was our original trading name. It was what we were formed as, so the Royal Engineers Vocational Training Trust, and it was predominantly the accreditation of the civilian, the military qualifications, and overlaying that civilian qualification on top. It became apparent that it was a little bit of a mouthful, so at some point in time we shortened it to RE-CPD. So REVIT and RE-CPD are one and the same thing. This year, as part of our rebrand, we will be renaming the charity the Royal Engineers CPD Charity. So REVIT will hopefully slowly melt into the background, and people will know us as RE-CPD, and we're doing an awful lot of work, unit visits, you know, getting out and about to make sure that people understand that, you know, we are the Royal Engineers Continuous Personal Development Charity.
Moving on from the rebrand and that side of the question bank, who's actually eligible to access the Royal Engineers CPD charity? So is it open to serving and reserve personnel across all ranks, all soldiers, all officers? Can you just explain that a little bit?
So yeah, in terms of who we're there to support, all of the above. As long as the serving soldier, officer, Queen's Gurkha engineer, reservist, FTRS person has at least 2 years service left. Reserves slightly different because we don't tie them into service. But as long as they have 2 years left, then they can access the support that we're here to give them.
Okay, so how does CPD strengthen an individual then in turn? So what's your mission when supporting a soldier? How do you contribute to a more capable and confident unit as a charity?
So in terms of the support that we can offer, it really is about the individual understanding what support they need. So we're there to guide them, to facilitate them, to help them to make themselves, a better person. And obviously, if they're going to do that, then that is going to have an overlaid effect onto the unit, the regiment that they're serving within. The support that we offer is varied. So at the end of the day, they can do something that is really personal to them. Or they can choose to do something that is going to have a lasting effect with the unit. So we get things like project management courses or degree courses, or people can come to us to learn to play the guitar or learn a language or do something that enhances a sport that they take part in. So it is very varied and very personal to the individual.
Oh, okay, no, that's really interesting to know that it's not just vocational type professional qualifications that you're able to support. So that probably open up a few individuals' eyes when it comes to actually approaching you for funding for something that might be a little, of a curveball, but you can actually potentially come and ask for funding and it might get authorised. So.
Yeah, definitely. And what we say is certainly, accreditation is different. We overlay that. That's a very stage process, and because we work with the military design team to look at what that civilian accreditation looks like, what industry requires. So it's a kind of behind the scenes support that we offer. But when it comes to study grants, PRAs, the unit funds, all that kind of thing, we just encourage people to be curious. What is it that they actually want to do? How can they push their own development forward and take ownership and accountability for their own development? And we're here to facilitate that process with them. So they need to be curious first. We often get asked, what course do you recommend? But it's not for me to tell somebody, where their own personal development is going to take them. So they kind of need to take that ownership and be curious themselves. Aside
from the types of support you can provide as a charity, some do actually say that our soldiers, especially in the Royal Engineers, already receive excellent trade training. Why do you think they need additional development? How would you respond to that? So if we're talking specifically about the accreditation side of things, absolutely, the trade training that the boys and girls here will receive is second to none. We're really proud of being affiliated to the Royal Engineers because they do offer some amazing skills. However, when a serving soldier, officer, Queen's Gurkha engineer gets back into a civilian role, then it's not always as easy for them to transfer those skills and for civilian employers to understand what those skills mean in a civilian environment. So what we try and do then is layer on the civilian equivalent of all of the amazing stuff that's happening already, so that when they do decide to leave, it's easily recognisable the things that the Royal Engineers have given them, some of those transferable skills, some of the hard skills, some of the soft skills, so they can take that and transition well into their civilian careers post being in the Royal Engineers.